guys, kind of getting situated. So hey, Stephanie Weaver, fine art artist here, and welcome to this week's episode where we are talking about commissions. And so commissions are probably one of my favorite things to do because one of the cool things about it is you get to, put together somebody else's idea or create something that they love and with the style that you have to offer. So it's a lot of fun, I think, to do. And so what I've actually put together here is a pre-recorded video that talks about the top most, let's say the questions that are asked the most about doing commissions. And so that hopefully you can avoid some of the pitfalls that I have gone through. And I actually do talk about a couple of those pitfalls in the video. And so this video is also available on my website, and that's stephanieweaverartist.com, and it's under the blog section. So you're welcome to go there and visit that as well and kind of check that out. And if you have any questions as we kind of go through this video, please pop those questions into the chat. I am going to be watching that, and if we have any questions at the end of this, I'll actually answer them in person, which is one of the great things about doing these things live and in person and all that stuff. So anyway, we are going to go ahead and cue up the video.
Over the last several episodes, we've been diving into the various revenue streams that artists can obtain. And today we're going to talk about one of my favorites, and that's commissions. Now, I know there are many that have a love-hate relationship out there with commissions. So today I'm going to answer some of the most popular questions about commissions, and then next week we're going to dive into some tactics to gain commissions. So if you're ready, let's do this. Welcome, I'm Stephanie Weaver, artist and founder of the Positive Painters online creative community, coming to you with art business tips so that you can gain focus and action on your art business. This week's episode is brought to you by the Positive Painters online artist community. The Positive Painters community is a place you can grow your art and your art business with fellow artists who have been in the trenches and know what it takes to grow an art business and create fabulous art. You can join the Positive Painters for less than the cost of a cup of coffee and gain access to a community, monthly art motivations, and so much more. Join today at stephanieweaverartist.com. Before we dive in, I've been doing commissions for years, and taking art commissions from collectors can be an excellent way for an artist to forge a full-time career. It's great because if someone enjoys your work, they might ask you to create a piece for them for their home, an office, or a gift. And working with a client to realize their idea can also be just extremely rewarding. Now, unfortunately, there are also some horror stories. But over the years that I've been doing commissions, I have only had 2 negative experiences. And one of them really, I just should have trusted my gut before I even got into agreement with the lady. And the other one worked out fine. So before we kind of go into the popular questions about commissions, I'm going to tell you my 2 negative experiences out of literally hundreds of pet portraits commissions. And I'm not going to go into detail about what actually happened, but essentially I had worked on a painting for the duration of about 6 months, which was actually way longer than normal. I had made 2 revisions, and after there was another request to change, I just didn't see a way this was going to end and everybody was happy. So I decided I was going to refund 50% of the deposit, which was beyond what I actually needed to do. And I contacted her prepared with a quote, "I appreciate your feedback and the changes you have requested. However, I believe at this time I'm not going to be able to meet your expectations. This artistic representation of," the dog's name, "is accurate with all my measurements, and unfortunately I'm not going to be able to produce a photographic copy of the photo. As a result, I'm glad to refund 50% of the initial fee." And what really surprised me was her response, because frankly I was just prepared to hand over the money. But she responded, no, you're right, I'm sorry, keep going. When you say that you are done, I'll be happy with the results. And like I said, that was actually really surprising, and I was a little bit floored for a little bit, but she was happy with the final product, and so everybody walked away happy. Sometimes you just kind of stand up for your work, and that one turned out well. The second instance was a similar issue, but also someone that I knew personally, and I knew her to be a flip-flopper, meaning she's very indecisive, and this is where I didn't trust my gut. So again, same situation. After making 2 changes, and she requests to go back to the first iteration and wanting a fundamental shift in the composition as a whole, meaning a whole redo. After giving a quote for the change control fee, she then began talking about God and his righteousness to me, and how she was been praying over direction on this cat portrait. And that's when I was like, oh my gosh. And this was seriously, it was at this point that I knew there would be no winning situation here. So as a result, I just terminated the contract, refunded the whole fee, which I didn't have to do. And because in my terms and conditions, 50% is non-refundable. It did have change control fees in the terms and conditions. Everything was well stated in the very beginning. And I still decided to terminate the agreement, just wash my hands of it. And that also kind of terminated our friendship as well. And in the show notes, I'm going to actually show you the before and after, because what I decided to do at the end of that agreement is to make the painting mine. And so I took this cat portrait, I put a butterfly on its nose, and I turned the cat purple. So it just became more of a fun experience and not the experience that I had with this unfortunate incident. So, you know, make your lemonade out of lemons type of thing. So those are just my 2 negative experiences, and for me they actually turned out fine. I was disappointed that the one lady, there was just no winning with her, and sometimes you run into that. And my advice for that is always trust your gut. That was my stupid tax, and that's what I learned from that one. So, okay, we are going to break this down into 2 segments, and I'll expect you to also review an article that I wrote some time ago called 5 Key Questions to Consider Before You Take Commissions, and that you are well prepared to actually take commission, which means you know what you can create, want to create, have a style that you're comfortable with, and can communicate the points clearly. Now, if you're not at that point, just go ahead and go to the show notes and click on the article, 5 Key Questions to Ask Yourself Before You Take Commissions, because we are going to dive right into part 1 of this 2-part series about commissions and address the most frequently asked questions about commissions. So the first question is, what is a commission? Now, if you are here, you probably already know the answer to this, but just to level set this conversation, here is the definition according to Webster's Dictionary. A commission is a formal request to produce something, especially in artistic work, in exchange for payments. That's the end of the quote there. Commissions, kind of in the old days, were limited to only the upper class to have completed. Today, with the internet and access to artists from all over the world, the ability for anyone to ask for commissions and for artists to offer them is just a wide open playing field. So commissioning artwork is a unique experience that allows you, the patron, to trust you to create something that combines a joint vision with your style. The goal should always be to create a piece that the patron will enjoy for years to come and that you are proud of. Okay, the next popular question is, what are the key components of a commission contract? So when a patron commissions you for a piece of artwork, there's an agreement and an exchange of money for a product, right? So as a result, a contract is needed. The term contract often is bothersome because it has a negative connotation, but the reality is the purpose of the agreement is to clearly define what your responsibilities are and the client's responsibilities. It protects your time and communicates the expectations of the project. It doesn't have to be anything elaborate, just a clear explanation of the following: the payment structure, the change control process and fees, the approval process, deadlines if applicable, and copyright ownership. Now, in the show notes, I've provided a free downloadable that is a workbook that will enable you to prepare all of the above, as well as a sample terms and conditions that I use for every commission. This free download is also part of what was discussed in the article 5 key questions to ask yourself before you take them. Another question is, what are the advantages of an artist to accept a commission? So there are several advantages to making commissioned artwork as an additional artist revenue stream. First, you get to paint something with a purpose that is outside of your desire just to paint. So what I mean by that is you get to use your abilities and skills as a service to others, which I can tell you, when you see the look on a person's face and they become emotional about the piece, it is just an amazing feeling to have that connection with not only them, but also with a piece. You also get to paint knowing that a piece will be enjoyed in someone else's home for a very long time, which is different than when you create a piece for some reason or another and it just sits in your studio and it makes you feel unappreciated by others. When you do a commission, you have that instant appreciation of your work and you know it's going to be put in a place of honor in their home. In addition to just that, commissions can fetch a higher price than the work that you create for galleries and shops because it's custom. Corporate or business commissions often hang in public places like office lobbies, hotels, public spaces, and public buildings. This also leads to more exposure and higher profile for your work. Another reason is many commission projects have just an interesting story behind them, which then you get to be part of, and it's just an awesome feeling. And then commissions can also challenge your artistic abilities, causing you to reach outside of your norm and expand your comfort zone. And when you expand your comfort zone, you get a bigger comfort zone in your artwork. And then last, clients become your biggest advocate. And that is last but certainly not least, it is the most. The clients become your clients become your biggest advocate and love to share the work that you have completed for them, which leads to additional referrals. Okay, this next question is one that we get a lot. So what do you do when a client is dissatisfied with commission? So this can be tricky. If it's a quality issue, your best option is to hop on a Zoom call or a Facebook video chat, ideally record the session or meet in person and identify what specifically needs to be addressed to come to a satisfactory conclusion. You also want to be cognizant of your terms and conditions in the original agreement, meaning how many revisions are included in the contract and how much time and money is associated with a change to the piece. So following the conversation, you always want to send up a follow-up email or invoice that outlines the changes requested, the number of hours to complete the change, and the revised expected completion date. So for example, if you know that it will take 2 hours, but those 2 hours are over the course of 2 weeks, then you want to convey a duration of 2 weeks and charge for 2 hours in the change control fee. So if your change control fee is $50 an hour, that's $100 to make the change. And if you allow a certain number of changes in your terms and conditions, be sure to make note of that as well in your correspondence. Basically saying, okay, so this is the second change. After this, I'm going to have to charge change control fees moving forward. And that way it's clear correspondence of what the next steps are and expectations. So always remember that the goal of the commission is to create a piece of art that your client will cherish for years to come and that you will be proud of. And remember that this piece will live in their home. So ideally, you want to have them love it. Remember also that this is not a blow to your ego, but an opportunity to enhance your skill sets and not only your artwork, but also your relationship building skills. And it helps you figure out what you may need to revise in future communication with clients. Now, there are times, and you've heard me say this, there are times when you just can't make somebody happy. And I think this scenario is more rare than not. So, if they are still dissatisfied with a piece after the allotted iteration and refuse to pay a change control fee, then as a last resort, terminate the agreement. You keep the 50% non-refundable down payment and you go separate ways. And then you decide what to do with the piece. You can trash it, repurpose it, whatever it is, because you own the piece. Like I said before, I've only done the last resort of terminating the agreement in 2 instances. In the first instance, the client actually agreed that I wasn't a Xerox machine. And the second lady, I just refunded the money altogether, even though I didn't have to. But for me, that's what I considered a, quote, stupid tax, because I knew better and I should have trusted my gut. So it's a tough choice, but I consider that a lesson learned for sure. And so if you do have a dissatisfied client, look as an opportunity to come to a resolution and do some lessons learned. So the next question is, how do you deal with clients who won't pay for a commission? Now, in this instance, they love the piece, but they decided that they don't want to pay the rest. So first of all, this person or company is a tool, because they think that, well, you've already done the work, what are you going to do with it? And you're just going to give it to them, right? So no, you don't do that. You have options, and frankly, it depends on whether it's worth it to you and how much it's costs in terms of your time and the amount of return that you expect. So for example, in small commissions, my personal favorite means is to just simply tag the person in social media with the image of the painting and just kind of FYI, stay on the high road and say something to the effect of, I am so excited to have completed this painting for their name. They commissioned me in X month to create this lovely piece for them, and it is finally ready to go home. So generally what that's going to do, it's going to do the trick, because now their friends and family will see this amazing piece and they're going to ooh and ah over it. And just essentially what you've gently done is kind of shame themselves into finishing the agreement and upholding to the agreement. So that's one option for a smaller commission. Another option for a smaller commission is just to repurpose the piece and thank them via social media for originally commissioning you to complete it, and say something to the effect of, while so-and-so wasn't fully committed to completing this commission, the completed piece is amazing and ready to go to its forever home. Who would like this piece in their home? And just kind of sell it from that point. And that way it's not only tagging them and showing a finished piece, which by that point they might reconsider, or their friends and family might see it and go, oh my gosh, he needs to have that type of thing. And then, of course, there's also a less passive-aggressive method than the other 2 methods for the smaller pieces, and that's just to trash it, repurpose it, set it on fire, or whatever makes you feel good. Now, for the larger commissions that were a large investment of time, money, and your resources, that's where it gets a little more complicated, and frankly, you might want to involve a court and a lawyer. Because if you're doing commission that's $10,000 and up, $5,000 and up, and it's worth it to you, you might want to get a lawyer involved, and there might be some instances where you get your wages garnished and so on. So it does happen. It's unfortunate when it does, but that's what you have an agreement for, is so you have repercussions for when somebody does renege on an agreement. So the bottom line for all of this is they don't get your work for free. You did the work, uphold to the agreement, or find a suitable solution. The next popular question is, why do you not require payment in full before you start a commission? So most service-based companies only require a deposit to get the ball rolling on creating the product. So as for a personal reason, I prefer to ensure there's skin in the game for both the client as well as mine. So that's why I split it up into a couple payments. Another option is that I've seen that kind of works well is offering a percentage discount if the client pays in full for the commission. That way you get your money up front, and there's a percentage discount for paying in full. It's the cash is king type of methodology. But the most important advice is to always get a percentage fee up front to cover your expenses and ensure that the client is committed to purchasing the piece. Okay, and the last question that I have is, what is the best way to provide a client with an abstract commission? So for abstracts, there is a design and feeling that's created with color, right? To get a good understanding of what the client likes about your work, you want to kind of ask them and start that dialogue to let you know which pieces of your existing work drew them to you. And then also start talking about a color scheme or a theme. So, for example, maybe they're thinking neutral with pops of red, or for a theme they're thinking like maybe an ocean theme or a beach theme because it goes with their beach house. Or maybe they've got a penthouse loft and they're wanting some city lights type of feel and look in their artwork. So this will help you to get to a starting point for developing that look of an abstract painting commission. To further that, you want to use a mood board as a tool for abstract painting and surface design commissions. It's great to explore color palettes and make sure that you're visually on the same page as your client. And once you've sifted through and chosen the image that best represents the mood, creative style, and energy that your client wants to communicate in your commission piece, you can put the images together in one-page PDF and email it for approval. Canva has some really kind of cool mood board templates that you can start from to use for that. But after that creative direction is approved by the client, you can start on your painting and send 1 or 2 work in progress shots along the way. And once you've completed, you could send a final image for their approval. And then, once approved, send the final invoice and prepare for shipping. So I hope you guys found this helpful. Just kind of as a final note about commissions for this week, regardless of whether you're on a path to taking commissions, you're on a path to create joy in yours and someone else's life. So remember that the goal is to create a piece of work that you are proud of and that the client will cherish for years to come. Now, I want to remind you to go ahead and download the free guide and sample terms and conditions that are included with the workbook called 5 Key Questions to Consider Before You Take Commission. In the next part of this commissions series, we're going to discuss some key tactics to gaining commissions. So until next time, stay safe, happy, and healthy, and happy creating. Bye, guys.
So that was kind of it for the video, and I'm not seeing any questions going to pop up in here. So if you do have any questions about commissions that maybe you want me to address next time, or if you're a member of the Positive Painter community and we have our next members only Q&A, or you can just put it in the community, feel free to post those questions and I'll be happy to answer those during next week's session about part 2 of commissions, where we're going to kind of dive a little bit more into commissions and basically how to find commissions and obtain commissions. So that's it for this week. Until next time, you guys stay safe, happy and healthy, and happy painting.